guy Hutchinson. This is Pointless Nostalgia. Today we're getting pointlessly nostalgic about classic old-timey mascots. We're starting it off with the very first one. This is the first mascot for a food product, the Quaker Oats Man. Since 1877. Let's take a look at the Quaker Oats Man.
Nobody but this man could make an oat cereal that tastes this good. After all, breakfast is what he knows best.
After the days of the Quaker Oats Man, we move into the 1890s. 1890s saw some good mascots, including Babendum. That's the real name of the Michelin Man. The Michelin Man, interestingly, is all white. And the reason is because tires were white then. They later started adding charcoal to tires, which turned them black. It was done to make tires last longer. But naturally, the rubber in the tires is white. He was the mascot. He's still around.
Hey, Lexington, Kentucky. Who makes only radial tires? He does. He's the Michelin Man.
Moving on to 1910s, the Spirit of Ecstasy. That's the name of the Rolls-Royce emblem on the car. The Spirit of Ecstasy. And it's a woman with her arms back, with like her robe billowing behind her like wings.
Does the Spirit of Ecstasy ever get stolen off the front of a Rolls Royce? Well, I'll let you decide.
Leo the MGM Lion. He's another one from this time period. The MGM Lion, he would roar at the beginning of every MGM movie.
Hey, Growl, what are you doing? Make some noise, you not. Yeah, we gotta start the movie. Hey, keep growling. Gee, I think he's bummed out. Stick a pin in his bum, eh? No way. What are you on, Valium?
Of course, if you watched an MTM production. The MGM Lion. And above him it said in Latin, art for art's sake. Art for art's sake. Not art for art's sake, which would be this. He was probably like, whoa, they knew about my sake brand. Art Carney also did another advertisement I really like, the advertisement for Art Carney's Carnival Art. Okay. Also in this decade, we saw Mr. Peanut. Mr. Peanut died last year at the Super Bowl.
Oh, look out! Oh, abandoned man! Oh, we're too heavy! Oh.
He died. Then he came back to life. He was a baby then for a little while. Then he grew up to a full-grown man in like 4 months so they could go back to having Mr. Peanut. I like Mr. Peanut. Classy, fancy dude. 1920s roll in. Things are getting more automated in this world. There's more products that need mascots. And we get the laughing cow. I had no idea. The laughing cow is a character that I thought was very modern.
To be the all-round star cheese, you need a great personality. Introducing the one and only, the Laughing Cow.
The laughing cow has been around for over 100 years. 100 years of the laughing cow. Next on the list, we have this lady. Look at her. That's Betty Crocker. Now, Betty Crocker was not a real woman. It was a made-up name. Crocker was the name of one of the executives, and they thought Betty was a cheerful, phony name that they could give to this mascot. Betty Crocker, from what I understand, all of the paintings that they've done, including this one, were painted without a reference person. So they were just kind of an amalgam of features that you would see on a woman, but this was not based on a regular woman. They did one in the 90s where they took a bunch of women, like hundreds, and they ran them through a computer and then, got a composite of what a woman would be. But this, Betty Crocker, she's totally fake. So we go from a fake woman to a real man, Ettore Boyardee. Boyardee. B-O-I-A-R-D-I, I think. It was an Italian last name, and it was pronounced essentially Boyardee. And so when he started mass producing his product, felt a lot of non-Italians could pronounce his name.
Hello, may I come in? I am Chef Boyardee.
Perhaps you have seen my picture on Chef Boyardee products at your grocers. Today I want to tell you about a wonderful dinner for three. A dinner that only costs about 15 cents a serving. It's my own Chef Boyardee spaghetti dinner with meat sauce or mushroom sauce. It all comes in one carton.
He was an interesting guy. He was born in Italy, studied in Paris, I believe. Was one of the top chefs in the world. This guy was a big deal. And then he started working on these kits where you could get an entire kit to make your pasta at home, which was a big deal. People didn't know how to do that kind of thing. So it's like you learned a few recipes from your mom and your grandma, and that was it. People didn't read even. I mean, I don't know. I wasn't around them, but it was like 100 years ago. Were there books? I don't know. All right, but there's Chef Boyardee. He was canning some pasta back then. The Gerber Baby. The Gerber Baby. So this was based on a real person. This was a sketch of a real baby. A woman had entered a contest and she had done a charcoal drawing of this baby. And she thought, well, if they choose mine, obviously I'll do a professional version for them. But she quickly did this charcoal drawing. They loved it. And they said, we're just going to keep it as a charcoal drawing. We don't want you to do anything else to it. So that was her original drawing.
Gerber, the baby people you've known since you were an infant, offers you a way to help with that protection through their grow-up plan for children.
It was based on a real person. The woman actually passed away last year of old age, but she was the Gerber Baby. And a lot of people thought that it was Ernest Borgnine or Humphrey Bogart, but it was not. It was a woman who was a school teacher later in life, but at the time she was just a baby. You didn't know what she was going to do. All right, here's Reddy Kilowatt. Reddy Kilowatt. He was the spokesman for electricity. That's how long ago this was.
Flip a switch, press a button, and I go to work for you instantly.
He was trying to tell people, hey, you need air conditioning. You need electricity in your house. I've got a light bulb for a nose, so I'm clearly an expert in this field. But there he is, Reddy Kilowatt. All right, moving forward into the 1930s. And who do we get? We've talked about these guys on the channel before. It's Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
Snap makes the world go round. Snap, Crackle, Pop, Rice Krispies. I say it's Crackle, the crispy sound. You gotta have Crackle or the clock's not wound.
Their name has something to do with physics. I don't really fully understand it, but apparently there's a sequence which goes to Snap, Crackle, and Pop.
But people realized that we could just call it Crackle and call the rate of change of Crackle Pop. That way, we could have velocity, acceleration, jerk, and then Snap, Crackle, Pop. Some people think that Crackle and Pop shouldn't count because they're just made-up terms that sound kind of silly, but who cares? Physics is filled with silly terms.
They've been around forever. They've been drawn a number of different ways. The image we're using looks like a later one, probably like 90s, maybe 80s. A lot of these images, I didn't dig up the oldest one because some of these characters, whoo boy, they were kind of scary and squirrely when they first came out. But here's Snap, Crackle, and Pop. And I like that their names are onomatopoeias. And whenever I have Rice Krispies, that's all I'm listening for is Snap, Crackle, and Pop. So there you go. Elsie the Borden Cow.
I know Borden Dutch chocolate milk is a special treat, but only one glass at a time.
We went to her grave and her birthplace on this channel. You can look that video up. That was a good time. Elsie the Borden Cow. She was married to Elmer of Elmer's Glue, and she lived in Playsboro, New Jersey. They toured her around the country. There was a real cow, but the drawing came first, and then people would come to the factory and be like, hey, which one is Elsie? So they picked a cow out, and they took her on tour. Rich Uncle Pennybags, the Monopoly Man. Doesn't have a monocle. A lot of people that believe in the Mandela effect think that he had a monocle at one point in time, but he doesn't. But he's got his stereotypically rich man outfit. He looks like he's wearing a dinner vest and a tuxedo and a top hat all the time. He's got his cane. He's a very, very wealthy man, and he'll let you know because his name is Rich Uncle Pennybags. So he tells you he's related to you and he's wealthy, which is great. I mean, just fantastic.
This year, there's more prizes than ever.
McDLT!
Coca-Cola! Congratulations!
Pennybags, though, the least rich sounding name. A guy with a bunch of penny bags. We all have penny bags in our closets. Yeah, we got to go to the Coin Star. It's like, who's this guy? Oh, he's Mr. Got to go to the Coin Star with all of my old change. All right, barreling into the 1940s, we get Smokey the Bear.
Don't play with fire.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Fire.
I like this one. Only you can prevent forest fires. I love Smokey the Bear, man. I love it. And you know, here's the thing. I have seen Smokey the Bear my whole life with that hat. I have seen lots of men like highway patrolmen and whatever with a similar hat, that same style. None of them can pull it off. This is a hat that was designed for bears. All right, moving into the 1950s. We got Tony the Tiger. He's Italian-American. We learned this on the channel. Tony the Tiger is Italian-American. The Playboy Rabbit. Now, this is not, from what I understand, this is not the Playboy bunny. This is the rabbit. The rabbit was the mascot on the magazine. The bunnies came later, and they were a reference to the rabbit. So later, they started putting women and calling them bunnies. That was a few years after, but initially, this guy's a rabbit. And if you look, it doesn't look like a bunny. It looks like a rabbit.
There's a revealing interview with wild and crazy Steve Martin.
Look out! Skylab's back! Oh, ah!
A big pictorial on the incredible pajama party at Playboy Mansion West. And not one, but 12 beautiful playmates in our annual Playmate Review. So pick up the January Playboy today. And don't let it out of your sight.
The Hamm's Beer Bear. So we got two. This is quite a weekend. I got myself some Playboys and a case of hams.
From the land of pines, lofty blossoms, comes the beer refreshing.
How refreshing is a cold Hamm's beer? As refreshing as the land of sky blue waters. Cool, refreshing Hamm's.
Hamm's the beer refreshing. Hamm's the beer refreshing. Hamm's.
I love that bear. Bazooka Joe came out around this time. Always in the comics. Bazooka Joe, there he is. He's got his eye patch. I don't know what happened to the eye. I don't ask questions.
That great bazooka taste. Those crazy Bazooka Joe and his gang coming.
Bubble blowing accident. There's Bazooka Joe. Next up, the Kool Aid Man.
Kool-Aid to the rescue. The one more kid's big thirst.
So I see, refreshing and bright, yeah.
Got to have some more. All right. It's Kool-Aid to the rescue. The one more kid's
Kool-Aid brand soft drink mix.
for a kid's big thirst.
I like the Kool Aid Man. All right, we're moving into the 60s. 60s, big heavy time for mascots. We got Mr. Zip. This is the zip code man. This was the Postal Service introduced Mr. Zip. Zip stood for Zone Improvement Plan, which was your zip code, because they wanted to put zones. It was going to get your mail to you faster, so they came up with zip codes.
This is Mr. Zip. He revolutionized the mail delivery system of the United States with his zip code.
And there he is, Mr. Zip. He was the spokesman for it. And then this guy, this is the Bick pen mascot. This is not the mascot for the Bick company. This is the ballpoint pen mascot. He's supposed to be like a young schoolboy. Got a ballpoint head. He was introduced in the 1960s.
Does anyone know anything the way Bick knows pens?
Does Bick know pens? Do the Arabs have oil?
Bick, astonishingly, is a company that is equally well known for producing three completely different items: ballpoint pens, razors, and lighters. I mean, like, nothing to do with each other. And if you say, hey, I have a Bick, it's going to be one of those three. Flick your Bick. Do you have a Bick? You know, it's Bick, man. I shave every morning with my Bick. Three different products. And it was a guy's last name. The founder, I think his name was B-I-C-T. Well, that would be an obscene word. But his name was a foreign spelling. I'll put it right there of the word. But there you go. Yeah. Now, I'll tell you, there's a lot in the 70s. There's a lot in the 80s. But I'm thinking, and I might do it tomorrow, I'm thinking of doing a full video about the 70s, full video about the 80s, because there's just so many mascots. Like here, there's some decades where I was like, I don't know who to put in. Reddy Kilowatt, I guess. But in the 70s and 80s, my goodness, you got a lot. There's also some that I didn't include, like Mickey Mouse, you know, is a corporate spokesman. But I mean, you know, I think he's so much bigger than that. Donald Duck, in addition to being a Disney character, has his own line of orange juice. Popeye sells spinach, like in a can to this day. and Peter Pan peanut butter, which I don't think has anything to do with the Disney character, and the Peter Pan bus line. Maybe we should talk about Peter Pans one day. By the way, while I have you guys here, for those of you that are still tuned, because the way YouTube works is most people drop off gradually as it goes on. So those of you that come here and you stay till the end, I just want you to know I appreciate you so much. I think next week marks 1 year that I've been doing YouTube daily. So a daily video every day for a year. And I love doing it for you guys. I love it. I do it for me and I do it for you. I love talking about this stuff. I love learning about these things and I love passing it on to you guys. And it makes me so happy that you're here. So thank you for being here for a full year. I don't think we're going to do any kind of big celebration or anything. So this is it. It's between me and you. The rest of those people are like, I don't care about Bick. I'm leaving. He sounds like he's going to spell a bad word. Those people don't get this thanks. You're getting this thanks. So thank you very much. Thank you for all your support. Got a bunch of shows coming up. So between now and the end of the year, got a whole bunch of shows. So we'll be going out, shaking hands, glad handing with the people, which will be a lot of fun. The next one in just 2 weeks, I think, or a week and a half, I'll be in Richmond, Virginia, on the way, thinking about stopping at the Blair Witch location. So that should be fun. Or guarding Tess, one or the other, I'm not sure. And the other place I want to stop is a place in Washington, D.C. Remember last year I went to some D.C. cab locations, thought about doing more because I do have more of those. But instead, my buddy Jeff, who was the reporter we hung out with, who literally walked out of the White House to come do my video, Jeff is going to be joining me, and we're going to a restaurant from In the Line of Fire, and then I don't know what else we'll see, but we'll see some other stuff. I'm doing Drunk on Disney there, which will be great. Dana's not going to be there, so he's doing another live show separate from ours, but we're going to be doing a live Drunk on Disney event. It's going to be fun. It's going to be a blast. I got a costume because it's Halloween time. Can't wait. I'm super excited. And we're going to be seeing a great filming location from the movie The Jackal that I'm super excited about. And there was I'm trying to remember who the actress was. It Mary Tyler Moore? Yeah, Mary Tyler Moore. There was a Mary Tyler Moore movie that was shot in Richmond. In my mind, I'm thinking Mary Tyler Moore, and another part of my brain's going, Carol Burnett. And then another... Like, my brain's stupid. So my brain's just shouting out female comedians of that era. And I'm like, shut up. No, it's not who it is. But yeah, so Mary Tyler Moore did this movie. I think it's called Finnegan Begin Again. It's a weird title, but it's an interesting movie. Sweet little movie. It's on YouTube. And I watched it. Filmed all throughout Richmond. So we're going to go to some of those locations. I am planning once again to go to church and bring you guys with me. I like when I'm on the road to go show you a church if I can. And I found a church there that used to be a Best department store. So we are going to worship at Best, which is fantastic. All right. Well, thank you again. Thank you for a year. We're going to go now to year 2. So we're starting year 2. I'm glad you're along for the ride right now. There's a box over here and one over here. You can choose either one because I'm in both. I recommend this one, and I'm not kidding. I'm going to pull one up and put one right here that I think you guys will like, that I want more people to see. And I'll see you tomorrow, 2 o'clock, talking about something. See you then.